Welcome to the Gal's Guide to the Galaxy podcast, where a group of gals gather for you one cool thing around our topic of the month. Is it ancient history? Is it breaking news? Is it safe for work? Well, that's up to each gal. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Welcome back. I'm Bonnie, and I'm joined by Katie, Leah, and Rebecca talking about our one cool environmental gal. Leah already talked about Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, but before we dive back in, let's get to know something random about our gal pals. I want to know, adventures in recycling. Recycling stories, tidbits.
Ooh.
Thingies you recycle.
You know, almost by telling a recycling story, it's like we're recycling a story.
Oh! Meta.
Just did that to stall because I don't know what mine is.
You know, since
Yes.
I'm always cooking and kind of food's my hobby, I'll say I get the most thrill out of recycling ingredients. I don't know if that makes sense, but you
like
buy
leftovers, right?
Yeah, leftovers, or you buy a whole thing of celery because you want to make one recipe, but then you have to think of how to use it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm making myself sound very innocent. I know I still waste plenty of food, and it's one of the things that bothers me the
But
most.
you're making an attempt.
Our world in general has, especially here in the United States, we have such a significant problem with food waste.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Exactly.
Throwing away. So the most excited I get about recycling is when I think of a clever way to repurpose an ingredient so it gets used in our food and not going in the trash.
That's a good idea.
So
I do like that.
when I can just whip up something out of 3 random things I find, I feel like a freaking genius.
Like you have won the day.
I have, yeah. I get such a thrill.
Sweet. Mine lately has been craft projects. Just even the artwork that's over there. So the artwork that's over there in the roots is actually the paper filler when they send you a box. You know what I mean? Sometimes Amazon will send you the bubbles, but sometimes they'll send you the brown craft paper. So I use that to twirl it to make the roots for it. I've used other just weird material. I know. We had O'Hara's Training Academy, right? And we had certificates for completion. Well, I spelled some words wrong. So there were some beautiful gold foils on misspelling certificates, and I kept on thinking, okay, I'll find a use for these. And they became in an artwork too. I used the gold foil again. So finding things, especially my mistakes, to be able to incorporate them into an art project.
Happy little accidents.
My happy little accidents, exactly. I can make this into some kind of art or craft, or even when the kids have a project or something like that. It'd be multi-purpose stuff.
See, I think that sounds like a superpower. I keep random stuff like that and never think of anything to do with it, and it becomes junk that makes me angry.
I'm saying
And you have to just give it away or take it to charity
but
or
it's
something.
Probably the same thing with ingredients. There's going to be some ingredients you won't be able to fit into things. There's going to be tons of stuff I've saved that I can't fit into a project. So it's kind of the same thing. That more of it doesn't work than works that I hold up to. I still have too many popsicle sticks. Let me put it that way. Thinking there's going to be some craft project that I'll use popsicle sticks, and no.
You know, since in our intro episode, we were given a hard time about Gunner, my pup.
Yes.
I have to say he's an avid recycler.
Oh, yeah, right.
His passion in his life is to break down and tear apart boxes so then I can put them in the recycling bin.
Yes.
Yeah, he's incredible recycler.
There you go.
Yeah.
Maybe he's reincarnated from, I don't know, a mulch bin. He's just trying to
I mean, we call him a junkyard dog at our house,
there
but
you go.
that sounded nicer what you said.
Recycled mulch bin. Rebecca, what about you? Adventures in recycling?
So I like the food idea. I do definitely recycle leftovers. So if I have leftover, it's not that creative, but if I have leftover taco meat or something, I'll make nachos later in the week.
Right, yeah.
And it's basically what do we have in the fridge? And we just throw it all together. And also
casserole.
and I'm not so great at actual recycling, but I do have compost.
Oh,
I
yes.
try to
There you
contribute.
go. See?
And I was saying earlier, so I did find my friend has she has an Etsy store called Made in Suburbia, and she takes vintage towels that have really cute floral patterns or designs.
Vintage, yeah.
She'll find them at old, I guess Goodwill, that kind of place.
Right.
I don't know where exactly.
Secondhand.
Yeah, secondhand. I don't know where she actually sources from, but But then she has like she makes them into like shirts and sells them on Etsy, and it's
They're
like
so cute. You showed us.
Yeah, I was
so
showing
adorable.
you.
I'll put them in the show notes too.
Yeah. So she's my friend Lindsay, and it's just she's been posting them at certain points on her Instagram, and I was just like, that's such a great idea because it's like I don't know if I have any of those towels sitting around because I usually I'll kind of recycle towels in the sense of like if it's not a towel I can use to like dry dishes because it's like kind of stained or whatever, I'll maybe put that like under my cat's water dish, but that's not that.
Exactly.
So I'm not throwing it away yet. Like, I'll save it.
It's finding a new purpose until the trash can.
Right. Until it gets to maybe it's going to be a grease towel later. Or it's going to be...
Or a hair dyeing towel is usually mine. Like they're bath towels. And then once they get like ripped or a little bit, then they become a hair dyeing towel.
Oh, that's pretty
And then, because I tend to get the hair dye. I got my hair dye on the dog once.
I just stain mine. I just stain my towels and keep using them. But they're kind of the same color, so it sort of works.
Yes, there you go. See, we bought white towels. We weren't thinking.
Oh, my husband bought white towels and I was like, at one point I was
like, no, why would you buy a white towel?
No.
Because like you can bleach it.
You can bleach it. Yeah.
It's the only reason.
On one level, it makes sense because you're like, well, hotels use white towels.
Right.
This kind of makes sense. But then on another, it's like.
Then they smell like bleach.
But then it's also, they smell like bleach, one. And my cats love bleach. There's like a whole science behind like cats and bleach and.
Crap.
Something about the scent. It's not bad for them because by that point, it's all like bleach, it's all cleared out.
It's washed out.
Yeah, it's all rinsed out. But it's also like. I don't like to talk about that forever. But then, but at one point I was like, but I use purple hair dye, so I can't use a white towel with the purple hair dye because it's going to kind of leak.
I'm going to have to buy purple towels.
Right.
That's
and
just
I have
the only way.
But I already have like purple towels that are kind of old and falling apart, but I'll just use those. And he's like, oh, that's so nice. I'm glad you thought about that. I'm like, yeah, I think people think about this kind of stuff sometimes.
They do.
But anyway.
Bonnie, what about you, darling? What's your adventures in recycling?
We recycle a lot between recycling and the compost. We really don't have that much trash.
Oh, nice.
Like we'll go 2 or 3 weeks before putting the bin out, and it's not even full. I'm like I got a
You're a master
3-bin compost set up, a 4x4 thing, trying to make compost for free dirt.
See, yes, there you go.
A list on the fridge of what can go in the compost and what can't.
Nice. There you
go. We do the scrap towel thing. I hoard scrap towels.
Sweet.
I use them for when I do like painting. Like I'll cut up towels into smaller things to like wipe my brushes on and stuff. We use them to bathe the dogs.
Right.
Hair dye.
Yep.
Got a hair dye one.
Yes.
I cut up plastic bags to put over like my paint palette. Instead of like saran wrap, like those grocery bags.
That makes sense. So it doesn't dry out.
Yeah.
So the paint doesn't dry out. Yeah.
And then I'll reuse them until they like rip.
Oh, nice.
Returning those. My Meyer finally started put the bin back out since COVID of recycling bags. I don't even know how many bags filled with plastic bags are in my house now over like a year because they weren't letting us use the bring in our own bags either.
Exactly.
So I was just like,
So you always had a bag.
You were stuck.
Like I just gotten little produce bags,
right?
So we could not use those. And then when I do my Etsy orders, I'm always either reusing boxes and shipping materials, or for like my pens and postcards, I've got these little pouches from Eco Enclose that are padded mailers. It's got like newspaper on the inside.
Oh.
So it's made from recycled stuff and it can be recycled. And then I've been trying to do the compostable plastic bags to put my artwork stuff in.
Right, yeah, okay.
Although I think some people were like, it's not really compostable.
Right,
like,
yeah, the jury's out. Yeah,
I'm trying.
Yeah. I know I watched a really long SciShow about different materials and how long it took not only for them to break down, but then also the environmental impact of even making them in the first place. So a lot of times like they'll break down fast, but what you need to make them is not as
or what you need to ship them.
Yes,
like if you're shipping them on like giant trucks that use a lot of gas, it's gonna have some other impact some other place, or they have to clean them, and then it's like the waters
or the bleaching process if it's cotton and fibers. Yeah, exactly. So in other words, it's complicated. So you use
nuance.
Yes, exactly. You use what you're comfortable with. and what you can recycle and reuse and stuff like that. But I dig it. I want a Bonnie list of what to recycle and
Right?
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think it's really interesting, just this discussion we've had briefly,
Mhm.
like what you can find to do with things,
Mhm.
and you can really find a lot of those resources online. Like, just
Yeah.
a random one I know is, did you know you can take your old empty medicine bottles with all the labels peeled off to the Humane Society,
Oh.
and they use them to send home medications with the
Oh.
animals.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
that's
nice.
a good
So
one.
I've been collecting all of mine and like
to do that.
meticulously
nice.
peeling off the stickies.
Right.
Oh.
I don't want you
To
to
get
know
them
what my
ready.
medicine is.
Oh yeah, I guess
Get them
I guess
ready.
now that you bring that up, like we have like a whole like cabinet just full of old like ball jars, but
Oh,
also
yeah.
like
Yep.
jelly and jam jars and salsa jars, and it's like that sounds like such a great idea, but then like they sometimes kind of still smell a little bit like
little
what
bit.
the food was
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Yeah.
it. So,
But
but
sometimes it's not too bad.
Yeah.
For the modern ones, you can run them through the dishwasher.
yeah,
All
I
those
read
sanitized,
some.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
but
always the lid necessarily, because I've had lids that gone through the
Uh,
dishwasher and then rust.
Oh,
But we have
Yeah.
really hard water.
lids-
oh,
Katie
yeah.
knows because it's just
Yeah.
really crappy water is what it is.
Yeah. But like I was saving them forever, and I was like, I need to do something with these jars. And then like I don't know, a couple months back there was a sale on apples of all things, and I was like,
Ah.
oh, I'll go ahead and get 2 giant things of
I'm
apples.
a Sir Cannon.
Yeah, so I made applesauce, and I had all
Yes.
these jars.
See,
And then I was freaking out because I read somewhere that if you freeze a jar that's full, it could explode.
Oh.
So I was trying to be careful about how full. You can fill it pretty full.
I
think
know. I
you
was gonna
have
say,
a
it's just
little
the
bit of air.
fermenting. It's when it runs
Yeah.
out of space.
Yeah, you just need like a little
Yeah.
bit at the top. And so then I was like, okay, well, I have like all these jars in this
Right.
place. Or we use them for like, grease or whatever.
Yeah,
Stuff
exactly.
we're just throwing away. But
Yeah.
I got a new one for you,
yeah.
Rebecca. Once you grow your wildflowers, use them as vases to give away to friends and neighbors.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love them as gifts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
they're really
yes.
cute mason jars.
Mhm.
My girls actually put their Legos in mason jars.
Oh,
So they buy little kits, and the little kits instead, because you lose the box and the instructions
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So then they have different sizes of mason jars that they put in there, so they have their Lego kits.
see, yeah, I just need to figure out uses
tons
because I
of
keep
stuff, yeah.
saving them.
Mhm.
And I feel bad throwing them away. Or even like sometimes like plastic. I don't save plastic as
They're
much.
hard to
but-
store, so if they're
Yeah.
not used, they're just kind of like, oh my gosh, why do I have all
Right.
these? But then once you need them, you never seem to have enough of them.
Right.
Mm.
By the way,
Right.
this podcast is brought to you by mason jars,
Right.
ball jars,
Ball
and-
jars
By
just up the
Ball
road in
and,
Muncie.
I think life
There's a
is
whole
brought
exhibit
to
at
you.
Minnetrista. You can also see the
Exactly.
Bob Ross exhibit when you're going up there. We're just all probably like, we need to travel
I
because
know,
we haven't
right?
been able to in so long. This is
Yeah.
gotta just make up things to do.
Yeah, I was one of the people last year that got into the canning.
Yes.
Because I had the garden, so
Yeah.
you got a can.
Right?
Mhm.
Learning about doing all that stuff.
Have you made pickles yet?
I've made pickles. I'll bring you one next
Okay,
time because
okay.
we have like 7 jars of pickles. We've gotten into one,
No way.
and there's like I
Okay, I
did
love
2
pickles.
different recipes. I did 3, and I don't like that first one.
Okay, yeah, because that's the thing. It is, yeah, I hear
Mm.
it's fickle. It's a pickle.
Ah!
But
No.
I do hear it's hard to do it. Yeah.
It wasn't that hard, but there's like a couple different recipes for like we were making dill pickles.
Okay, I love dill pickles. Okay.
And then I really wanted to send some to my cousin. Has
Yeah.
like a thing about pickles. It's the story of like when he was a little kid, they had some scratch and sniff book,
Uh-huh.
and one of the things was pickles, and he loved pickles
Oh.
so much that he like peeled that off of the book and ate it.
Oh, God.
And then when they
Oh.
handed
Doesn't
it
taste
down,
like
Uh-oh.
when they handed it down to his
Uh-oh.
younger brother, there was no more pickles.
Oh.
So I found a
Gotta send him
shirt
some
for
pickles.
Christmas that was a scratch and
Scratched
sniff
a
pickle.
Oh, nice.
Did it really scratch and
It
sniff?
didn't really
Oh.
smell, but it was like
looked
it looked
the
like a
vintage-
sticker.
The idea
Yeah.
was
The old
there.
school sticker. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Oh,
adorable.
my God.
Children of the 80s.
Well, who is your one cool environmental girl, Bonnie?
My lady,
Yes.
you'll have to forgive me because there's a bunch of Danish and
I'm
a bunch of sciencey stuff.
I am so excited.
I believe her name is pronounced Inge Lehmann
Sounds about
or
right.
Lehmann, something like that.
Yes, exactly. You can even get fancy, probably go Inge.
Yeah,
You want to like
Oh.
overly pronounce all of the
Yeah.
letters.
It's kind of hard to find stuff on her because it's all in. Let's see, what would that be?
Dutch?
Dutch, Danish,
Something.
something. It's not German.
Right. No, it's not. Yeah. And it's, yeah, I almost went to
Like
say
anytime I
Amsterdam
saw it
Danish.
written, I was thinking of that Swedish chef guy.
Herger.
Yeah, like it looked like that. And I was like, oh, it looked
That
like
is
very
my
silly
people.
English, and I was loving it.
Yes.
But her parental grandfather laid the first Danish telegraph line.
Oh, look at that.
Her father, Alfred, was a professor of psychology, and she was born in 1888 in Copenhagen.
Sweet.
And she had a sister named Harriet.
Okay.
And that's about all I know about her family stuff. Like, it was very hard to find, like, personal details about, like, her life.
Gotcha.
Like, her, like, I have no idea if she was married or had kids.
Oh, gotcha.
Like, I couldn't find anything on that.
Yeah.
She attended, when she was a kid, she attended a school run by the aunt of Niels Bohr.
Okay.
Future Nobel Prize winner in physics for contributions of understanding atomic structure.
Nice.
And she's quoted as saying about the school that there's no difference between the intellect of boys and girls was recognized, a fact that brought some disappointments later in life when I had to recognize that was not the general attitude.
Oh, so she was taught equality and then thrown into the world where...
Not so much.
Great.
But yeah, she lived and studied in Denmark, where there is very little seismic activity.
Right. Okay.
She called herself the only Danish seismologist.
Right.
She discovered the Earth's inner core in 1936 when she was 48 years old.
That is mostly what I know about her.
Yes,
is that's
her big thing.
The core.
In 1928, she was put in charge of the Royal Danish Geodetic Institute of Seismological Department.
Look at that. Give her an award for saying that.
Yeah. There's all kinds of... She's like running all kinds of different departments, head of whatever's, first woman doing whatever.
Nice.
There's like a whole list of these things.
Well, because she was taught equality.
Before her, the belief was that, like, below, like, they thought the Earth's crust was, like, really, really thick. Thicker than what we think of now. And that it only had a molten core. But scientists kept getting, like, weird readings when there would ever be earthquakes. The seismograph was invented in 1880. So 8 years before she was born, but it was still, like, kind of new. But she discovered the Earth's core by noticing a difference in the wave patterns from an earthquake on the other side of the Earth. I think it was in, like, New Zealand.
Oh.
The waves act differently when they're passing through a solid or a liquid, and also of, like, they'll, like, kind of go around the solid, so there'll be, like, a dead space.
Oh, you're listening for almost a hollowness or something.
There'll be, like, a shadow zone where there's, like, just no waves there.
Oh.
So that's how she, like, figured out that there was...
something solid.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
There's stories of, like, her doing her work in her garden. I don't know if they mean garden by, like, backyard. Or, like, a garden.
Right.
Because it was, like, very, very British thing I was reading there.
She's going to the British Common Gardens.
Yeah. But she, like, recorded measurements, and she just had them on scrap pieces of cardboard from oatmeal boxes. Because apparently she recycles.
Yes! Yeah. She's got a garden, she's recycling, and she's figuring out what the center of the earth
But she's
is.
got them, like they're describing her, she's got them, like,
busy.
in, like, different oatmeal bins, and then also on scrap pieces of cardboard, and just, like, figuring out all of her stuff.
Whatever it takes.
Which is cute. She retired from the Geodetic Institute at 65 in 1953. Both World Wars and the Great Depression had an effect on her work. Because when there's a Great Depression and World Wars, most people aren't really, like, giving money to
seismic scientific study.
Yeah.
True.
But she had another, like, go around. Like, after she retired, she was like, well, now's when I can get some real work done.
Nice.
She was in her 70s, and she turned her attention to the Earth's upper mantle using data from underground nuclear explosions.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm like, I don't even know what's going... Like, what?
Right, exactly. Girls going nuclear.
Like, what?
Right.
She also lived very long. She died in 1993.
Oh, whoa.
At 104.
Oh my gosh. So my lady was 108. Your lady is
Yeah.
104.
And your lady was born in 1990.
Yeah.
Mine was born in 1888.
Oh my god.
I wonder if they knew each other.
I mean, they were across the world from each other, but at the
Mhm.
same time,
Well,
they were science and
She
nature.
made
and...
trips to the U.S. I don't think she
Right.
ever lived there, but she did
Gotcha.
like a tour or something a
Oh,
couple
that'd be
times.
cool. I'm sure there's a World's Fair somewhere.
That Chicago's World Fair that
Yeah,
everyone goes to.
The big Columbia one, yes.
Gosh.
But the boundary between the inner and the outer core,
Yeah.
like she's got two boundaries in the Earth's crust that are both called the Lehmann discontinuity, like named
Oh.
after her, and they're like two separate regions. So I'm
Oh.
like, how can you have two that are like named the same thing,
Right.
but they're two different little things that are named after her?
Cute.
A seismograph was included in a mission to Mars.
Look at that.
It's using kind of like the same techniques that she used to make observations about Mars's core. This is the
Oh.
seismic experiment for the interior structure, launched in 2018.
So the same thing that she used to figure out the Earth's core, the rover might be trying to figure out, or
Yeah,
not
it was
rover, it's
like a
Endeavour,
robot
right?
that like dropped down this little thing,
Yeah.
and this thing is like it's a special enclosed thing because they messed up the first. Oh, I thought I put it on here.
The first drop.
Yeah, they did include seismometers in the Viking spacecraft missions.
Okay. Yeah.
The first one, Viking 1, it was still on the craft, so it was picking up movements of like the actual
Oh.
craft
Makes sense.
and of the wind, and then the second one just didn't deploy properly.
Oh, okay.
So that's like when they're first getting readings about Mars,
Yeah, yeah.
and on Mars they're called Mars quakes.
Mars quakes because they're not Earth.
They're not earthquakes.
I love that.
I read that this morning. I was like, that's so freaking adorable. Women in Denmark gained the right to vote June 5th, 1915.
1915.
So before U.S. women.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that would also put it before British women.
I think, yeah.
I think they were a couple years before the U.S.
1917. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's 15, 17, and then 20. Yeah.
She's got all kinds of awards, and she has awards named after her that they give to
Sweet.
people, and she has an asteroid named after her.
Yay! That's our favorite thing, is when somebody has an asteroid named after them.
We need to like get a little map and put it in the library of where all the asteroids are.
I know. Or the nebulas, like the Horsehead Nebula,
Yeah.
that have been discovered by women or named after women. That would be fun. See? Elephant. I know a little bit about her, like just mostly about her, the identifying the Earth's core, because she's in one of my women of STEM that I would go into schools about and talk about Inge Lehmann. So I, for some reason, I call her Inge because I love the fanciness. I also call Target Target.
Maybe that's like a Minnesota, Midwestern.
It's probably a Minnesota thing, yes.
Yeah. But we call that here too, so I don't know. I grew up in India. We call it Tarjay sometimes. But if you're feeling fancy.
Exactly. It's just to be fancy.
In Minnesota, did they add the S to everything? Like
No.
a lot of people call it
Myers?
Myers and
Kroger's?
Kroger's.
No.
Like it's specifically
Marshes.
like stores.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I got here and went, people, there's no S on it.
We call it Aldi's,
Right.
but then it's not Aldi's.
There's no S. Yeah, that one I have not witnessed until moving to Indiana.
Well,
Maybe because you're going to the store
Yes.
that Aldi's owns.
Correct.
So it's
right.
like-
It's like
And I'm-
apostrophe S.
And I'm going to get
Yeah.
some soda pop.
Yeah.
There's other weird things that I say. Yes.
Well, that wraps it up for us this week. Join us next week as our next gal pal shares her one cool environmental gal as Gal's Guide podcast continues. Thanks for listening.
For show notes, links, and images from this week's show, visit galsguide.org. Want exclusive stuff like deleted bits and major bloopers? Become a Gals Guide patron today. Thanks for listening.